I know. It's backwards, bro. I mean,
Right.
I speak on it. And I know it's always
some of
going to
these
get that.
knuckleheads you can't talk to.
Yeah.
You're gonna have to either fight or shoot one of them because they don't want to be told nothing because their mom ain't telling them nothing.
I don't know if you've seen that case where the school, that football coach, the black guy, got shot by those kids, and they call it street terrorism, and it was on all over Instagram. But they showed him being read to 15 charges. They got like life plus like 20 years run consecutive, like 200 something years consecutive. The judge was reading off each charge, and they murdered this dude, shot the car up, killed him. And, and like I said, we're talking about a specific group of young men who are lost, but as he's leaving the courtroom and he got all the time, the family was in there, and he turned around and he said, "I hope you're happy." I said, "Do you know the psychology? You hope the family's happy because you got all the time? You killed a family member, bro."
Right.
I mean, you're not a victim.
That's what happens boys, you need a man to talk to boys.
Yeah.
And set them straight, because if you don't, that's what happens.
I hope you're happy.
Right. I got 3 boys, and I always, I hear women coming at me talking about, oh yeah, they can raise a son. I was like, okay, try it. See what happens. He's going to be raising up at you in your house, and he's not going to listen, because boys, especially from adolescence on up to almost, in their 20s, they're a little crazy in the way they reason. And it takes a real action. We got a lot of men look like men, but they ain't men. Okay, it takes a real strong, masculine man to straighten that boy out.
Well, why do you think young black men are drawn to the gang member dudes who are OG? Because they're looking for a father. It's right. Like, if you look at the jungle, right, or out in the wilderness, when you have a young silverback or a little whatever, or a big lion trying to come up, there's usually one male in the pride, right? And he's checking everybody. It's like, I'm still the big dog. And when you're in the house, like, you're right. I respected my mom, but she wasn't the big dog.
Right. Because it's instinct when it comes to males.
Yeah.
They only respect that next male that's going to challenge them.
That's right. You're right.
That's it. If they're not being challenged, the reason why boys act the way they do is because they're looking for the challenge.
Yeah, you're right.
They're looking for it.
You're right.
So, like my daughter, she's about to graduate high school. She's got a boyfriend. He's in the Air Force. So he done went off and got his basic training and stuff like that, and he now all of a sudden he want to be in competition with me with push-ups because he done got him some training in the military. See what I'm saying? Males is always looking for some type of challenge. So that means when he look at me, he sees strength. So he want, let me see if I'm stronger than him. We're not about to do all that. I know I can do some push-ups, but that's it. And then I had to break it down and say, strength is not just how many push-ups you can do. Strength is in your mind. That's where the real strength is. The physical is the 10%. It's the mental strength. When you get into your problems, how do you handle them? You're going to handle them through violence. You're going to handle them through diplomacy.
Yeah.
And that's what masculine men bring to the table. We can't always go to war, but we will go to war if it's necessary, deal with my sons. Like, hey, we could, talk about it, or we could go at it, but you're not going to win.
Yeah.
So even to this day, my boys, my oldest son is like 33, and I still get that respect.
But he respects you because of your position. It's got to be, he sees in you beyond. You don't have to be all muscled out, but he knows like your strengths as far as your intelligence, your intellect, and your ability to communicate. That's strong. So that he knows not to challenge. So he respects that. So that's the thing. It's like, it's not all about physicality, push-ups, and all that. So,
it's
I
not
get all
that.
that.
It's just, because you can talk. And some of those kids that we consider knuckleheads, the only thing, the difference is they just ain't got the right man talking.
You're right. No, you're right.
That's it. Because they can be reached. If you get them in the right circumstances, you can reach them. And that's one thing I disagree with what's it, Charleston? What's his name? Charleston White. He said you can't reach some boys. They ain't trying to hear it. You got to talk to them a certain kind of way. No, I mean, I've been around hood dudes, and I don't have to talk and act like them to get them to listen, because you just got to present. You got to just be respectful that they're individuals and not look down on them, and you'll get the respect, because a lot of them are looking for a way out, but they don't know how. No one's teaching them.
Yeah. And
they're
really,
not getting that right guidance.
And a lot of them are scared, bro. To be honest with you,
yeah,
they're scared.
What is anger? Just a representation of the fear.
Yeah.
So you show anger because you are in fear of something happening, something being taken away from you. You know, maybe you got punked out. You're in fear of being looked at a punk, so you show anger and aggression.
Yeah.
To mitigate that. So we just got to get to the point where we are cleaning up our own community. We don't need, it won't be need for the cops to do it if we're doing it in our home.
Yeah, you know, I totally agree, man. So that's why I want to touch on that. Let's talk about
yeah, I know the Democrats is losing their mind right now. All the stuff he's finding. It's just epic. To me, it's like,
Akiem, hold on. Who would be upset about auditing the IRS?
So who would be upset about it getting rid? I heard people talking about getting upset. It just shows me that people are complaining about any goddamn thing. When you talking about getting rid of the IRS, oh, we got it. How about what we gonna do? How we gonna spend this and that? So they want spending that money on that anyway. Taxes, the average tax dollar that comes from taxpayers, as they put it, does not go to fixing infrastructure.
No.
That's what do you think? You know where the tax really comes from? Infrastructure? The trucking business. So I have a trucking business. So every state you drive in, you have what you call IFTA taxes. So if I buy gas in this state, I done paid the taxes on that money where I bought the gas. But if I drove through South Carolina, Tennessee, North Carolina, and didn't buy gas, I get a bill for that tax for riding those roads.
Yeah. Infrastructure tax. Yeah.
Infrastructure. So that's where the tax money is really coming from, the trucking industry.
Now, what about, you know, it kind of blows me away. And people, they you know, whether or not we're going to see, you know, anybody held accountable, because these people have been robbing for so long. I mean, it's like these guys that are true mafia, these government people, that USAID.
They straight gangsters.
Now, USAID, you're talking about $20 million to teach Afghans about modern art. You got $15 million about LGBTQ theatrical in Ireland. I mean, all these crazy, and you know, excuse me if I didn't say it right, but there's money being spent in crazy areas, and people you're getting upset about this being exposed.
It was to do some type of history in Cambodia. They was giving millions away to people. What that is let's call it what it is. It's money laundering through the government, meaning you say this is where you're giving the money to, which it probably very little even goes to that. And it's coming right back to the politicians who signed off on the bill. And that's what they're exposing. That's what they're bringing out. And
they don't want to see that.
You bring it out and see, and they got control of the narrative, meaning they got control in announcing. So how do they can't get the media to say the truth. So what do? They just have press conferences and say, hey, this is what we found, blah, blah, blah. Let's talk about that. And you notice the BS reporters, they never challenge that stuff.
No, they don't say.
They don't come in, wow, they found this, and then go back to the source of where the bill came from and try to interview the people who created that. They don't even want to do that.
But see, they get mad at Elon, but they're not mad at the fact he found it. You know what I mean? Like, look what he found.
It goes to show you.
What was it? 4.7 trillion from one of the the Treasury that didn't have an accounting Akiem that said the money went. It didn't have a note where the money went to or who paid it. I mean, dude, they were
all games. But see, the bigger thing is that people are not paying attention to. All of these different things that they set up to send money. How did they even get set up? Because no one ever heard about it in the news. It happens in those bills, those big bills where the media have you looking at one thing, and in there's 100 other things that they're giving money away to.
Yeah.
Like, you know, the last one was the PPP. They were highlighting that PPP and the PPP fraud. All that's all, and highlighting the little people taking a little money, 20,000 here. You know, that's all they talked about. But In that bill is where a lot of that money was going to in the bill. So they see, whenever you see the media going after an issue, that means there's something else they're trying to hide. See, when they try to give the public perception, oh, look at this, you got all these people stealing from the PPP stuff, but that's peanuts compared to
It's
what's
really peanuts.
actually.
These people are getting checks, bro. I mean, when you come into a position and it pays 120, 150 a year, and 5 years later, Akiem, you worth 20 million.
Well, that one black politician, female, and
From Minnesota. Minnesota.
She's the salary is $170,000. She's worth about $5 million. How did she picked the right stock? She was lucky, or somebody gave her an insider tip. Who knows? I'm not saying whether she didn't get her money legitimately or not. It just looks suspicious. You're supposed to be a public servant. You go in broke and come out a millionaire. How's that happening?
I don't know. I mean, I do know, but a lot of it's just I don't know. You think about these people who have worked all their life. Some of them are still working in debt, and when they say that you shouldn't have been given all that money away, imagine if you took 20 years of your working career and you were able to keep 100% of the money, how much further ahead would you be?
Mm-hmm.
People don't even think of like to rationalize. It's just, it cracks me up because they're like, he's going to get our social security number. How many times have you sent your social security number out into the web with all type of purchases?
Your social security numbers out there. I'm sorry. They done broke into every database that even matters. So they broke into all of the credit bureaus. So they got it. So and think about that. Just think about that. How are these guys able to break into these supposed to be secure places without the help of somebody on the inside? How are they getting this stuff? Because that type of crime builds other businesses.
Yeah.
So because what now the credit bureaus get more subscriptions because what they do, like they broke into the school system here in North Carolina. The power school system. They broke and got teachers' information, student information. Now, guess what they give? Oh, you can get a free subscription to all of the credit bureaus now for a certain amount of time.
You know what one of the arguments was, Akiem?
Mm-hmm.
It was, if we uncovered too much of the fraud, the money that was being spent for people using the fraudulent money is going to not be circulating in the economy. It's going to cause a recession.
Please.
That's how these people are rationalizing.
They're not circulating it. If they got it in the bank account, they're not circulating it.
That's how crazy some of these people try to make sense of these different funds. And they're like, well, these people aren't getting their money for this and that. And these like you said, this is, and it's still being uncovered, but one of the biggest money laundering operation. And this, how you think they come up with the laws to bust the mafia? Because they know, because they're doing it.
Mm-hmm.
They're doing it.
Right. Well, see, what's a crime? The crimes that they want to go after is the average guy, the people that really can't defend themselves. See, while they're going after them, the other people that's really committing the big crimes, the big money crimes, because they're getting paid off. They're part of the problem. See, you got to really look at how this country operates. Without crime, a lot of jobs would not exist.
No, you're right.
So they have to create criminals.
Yeah.
Criminals have to be created.
It's an intricate part of the cycle.
Right. But the criminals, it's like, they spend a lot of time in the poorer neighborhoods going after drugs, which is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Why? Because those people are not manufacturing, bringing it into the country. If you really want to stop drugs getting into the cities, you got to stop it at the source.
Yeah. It's funny.
It's actually being
it's funny you say that, because like you said, they'll show some police pull up in tactical, look like some shit from Iraq, and pull up in a neighborhood in this armored vehicle, and some little house in the hood, little 3-bedroom house, to get this dude, to bring him out 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock in the morning.
That's all show, man.
That's what I'm saying. And they parade him like he's this hell of a criminal. But meanwhile, you guys are bringing in tons of cocaine, tons of
Right.
all this shit. And you mean to tell me with all the technology, if you could triangulate a phone, you don't know when somebody's bringing shit across the border?
But they know. They got satellites that can see all of that, man.
Come on,
See,
man.
they know it, but it's not profitable to stop it at the source. It's
No,
more
because
profitable to do it at the end users.
well, if they stopped it at the source, the people in the hood wouldn't be doing that. They'd be doing other stuff. So then it would
Right.
mess the prison community up.
Well, they'll be too busy in their business, on their doorstep. So it keeps them isolated in the hood.
Keep them busy.
Right, keeps them busy. And it keeps the low level workers busy too, because they think they doing they American duty.
Yeah.
Which they realize that, dude, if you talk to any cop who's been on the force for a certain amount of time, even in the military, they start to realize it's a bunch of BS.
Yeah.
What they're doing is not changing anything, and in that it's all politics and how they're policing the neighborhoods. When it comes to any type of drugs, poor people are not manufacturing them. They don't have the skills. They don't have the money to get it around the country. They don't have any of that. So what they do is, the reason why they do it that way, one of the reasons, is because it keeps the police funded.
You're right.
They
You're
make
right.
all of these big drug busts. Now they got the asset forfeiture thing. If you walking around with a certain amount of money, they could just take it from you and not charge you with a crime. They charge the money with a crime. Then you got to fight to get your money back.
Yeah.
This is how they're able to get those tanks and all of that, because they're taking money from the people in the very neighborhood that they're policing. So the politicians at the top, let them all fight amongst each other. You got these guys who think they're right, they're the police. And you got these guys who don't like the police. Let them all fight amongst each other. Let the poor fight amongst each other while we're here causing these fights.
And we're getting big money.
These fights.
We're getting big international cash.
Right.
You guys are getting, you think you're balling, but we're making, you don't even want to know. I mean, literally, if me and you were working in DC and we were over there, bro, and then, we were going to some of these private dinners, and me and you were talking like, bro, if the homies knew how much money we really getting over here,
right? That's
man, it would storm this place.
But that's actually a system,
in
place. Keep the people at the lower levels looking at each other, black this, white this, in this ethnic group. That's what they did. The Asian community they were treated bad in this country at one time too. But then when America wanted to politically look good, they brought them back, right? And then gave them businesses, but they couldn't do businesses in white neighborhoods. They could only do it in the hood.
Yeah.
Right? And now we're looking at them, we're buying their food, eating the food that they're cooking, but at the same time, they're robbing them. In that hood, black folks robbed them and breaking their businesses. So that's why they got the bulletproof glass up when they go in there. They sneak in and out of there. You never see them going into their business to work. They just somehow they get in there, right? I'm talking about in the hood.
You said you just go in there and they're in there, huh?
Right. You never see how the hell they get in there. They just be there, right? Oh, because and they got the bulletproof glass up, but that's because it was designed that way. Politically, we screwed you up. We dropped bombs on your community. We put y'all in concentration camp. But hey, this is how we reward you. We give you business, make sure you fund. But they work together, and they built their community. Whereas we participate in our own demise. We participate in that. We allow those businesses to come in instead of maintaining ours. One thing that I wanted to mention was when they had the whole boycotting, when Martin Luther King and all of them was boycotting buses and all of that stuff, and Rosa Parks sitting in the back of the bus thing, that wasn't the first time that ever happened, right? Did you know that they had black-owned bus companies back then that they could have ride? They didn't need to ride the other bus.
Well, that's what the brother, was it Dr. Gregory? I'm talking about the brother who was on the Breakfast Club. And
I remember. I can't think of his name. I know
I can't. It slipped my mind too. But he was saying they had black taxis, black bus companies, black car dealerships, black banks, and the blacks. And it wasn't the blacks. It was really, see, that whole NAACP thing was a way to kind of break up our monotony to get us to spend money with them. We weren't
Right,
spending money with the
right,
white people. And another
right.
thing, do you know the story about Cadillac? Cadillac became the black man's car because we couldn't go into Ford and General Motors and buy a car. We had to
Right.
pay, back in the day, you had to pay a white person $100, $50 to go buy you the car because they wouldn't sell you a car. Cadillac, Ford and them almost went bankrupt. What happened was Cadillac was actually one of the first places they're like, man, we need to start selling to these black people. They got a lot of money because during the collapse, see, all the white people's money was in the bank. Black people couldn't use the bank. They had money
Right.
at home. So black people were buying cars cash and white people were out of work and they were homeless. And black people were riding
Yes.
around like this.
Because why were the black people had the best finances? Because they weren't allowed to participate in anything.
That's what
right.
I'm saying, though.
So
They
we had to
weren't,
create our own stuff.
but that's what I'm saying. But when they realize that, we need to get you to participate so we can control the whole narrative. So by destroying the black owned and you not shot, and I'm not saying that,
That was now when the civil rights movement was one of many movements to destroy the black community, right? What happened when it came to the world wars, especially after World War II, it was the white men that went off and fought these wars. Yeah, we did have some of our people went off to the war. Remember, they wouldn't let us get in that war, right? Get in those wars, right? We had to fight for that. And then when they went in there, they got no respect.
yeah.
So when these guys came back from war, they had no jobs, they had no skills. See, we were the blacksmith, the welders, the bricklayers, the construction workers. We did all the stuff with our hands. We did all the buildings. So of course, we had the money, right? And then the women did the sewing. We made our own clothes. We weren't buying stuff out of other stores. So when they came back home and they saw these communities thriving, they come and they see their family basically starving to death, they got jealous. So that's what they call Red Summer, 1919, where they went around the country and literally dropped bombs on black communities that were thriving. So after that, that was a start of how it destroyed our community. But where we went wrong is we jumped on a bandwagon with Martin Luther King and them. That's why they give him a holiday.
Yeah.
See, they think they give him a holiday because he was fighting for these civil rights. And no, they gave him a holiday because he did a good job integrating us into a system that was never designed for us to survive in.
You're right. You're right.
I know black folks gonna hate me.
They don't, no, they're gonna, this right here is gonna be.
Look at it. Let's look at the facts. Since all of that, are we any better off now? All of our money that we make goes to other communities, supporting other communities. Even our labor goes to support other communities of what do you call aspirations or dreams? Like we go build other communities of businesses by working for them. See, they don't realize TV shows like The Cosby Show was great shows, but at the same time, it promoted us getting degrees where we stopped working with our hands. And then as they were showing us stuff, giving us TV shows like The Cosby Shows, which we thought were great, they giving us a show, oh, we jumping up and down, but it really killed our aspirations when it came to building our communities, building our own homes, creating our own products.
You don't think it also inspired because we had a lot of black doctors and that's been overlooked with the sciences.
But we already had black doctors.
I know, but what I'm saying is
Cosby Show.
But what I'm saying is, in one instance, I see what you're saying about the college aspect, but also striving for something beyond. Like I'd never the thought of becoming a lawyer. I went to prison and learned a lot about law and studied on my own, but on the street, nobody said, hey, man, because I wasn't around that type of person that had that level of thinking like, hey, Marcus, you could become a lawyer, or, hey, you ever thought about being a doctor or an engineer or a rocket scientist? I'm just saying, as far as we've been so stifled just in our ability to think beyond that, we've put ourselves in a box and don't even realize it. Outside of being blacksmith and builders, because, one of the first automotive companies was a black guy. He used to build carriages for horses, And then he
Right.
built his first car, and Ford kind of copied him. So
Right.
there's a
Well,
lot of things.
let me put it to you like this. Doctors, lawyers, all those professional engineers are great professions, right? But all of them need the same thing. They need somebody to build their house. They need somebody to fix their plumbing. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They need all of those professions right there need someone those other professions for them to even have a good existence. Somebody's got to build it, right? So what I'm saying, I'm not saying go get a degree. Yeah, degrees are good because we do need doctors. We do need lawyers, more representation, good representation in the medical field and in the legal field, right? But it created an imbalance, meaning more people were striving. And let's keep it real. How many of our people really gonna stick it out to get a lawyer and a doctor's degree in college? Most of the people that I know that go to college, they go get business management degrees, criminal justice degrees, easy stuff that, they don't go into something that they can, like, if I go in for a lawyer, I'm gonna be a lawyer because I can either go work for the state or create my own practice, one or the other. If I go to be a doctor, I'm gonna go become a resident somewhere in a hospital because that's always needed. Those fields are shorthanded when it comes to jobs, so you will get a job in that. But most people across the board don't have the stamina to go through what it takes to even get to those levels. You see, that's where the issue is.
Now, who's the blame for that? Is that just because, like, when they see people and they're like, well, we want to see more of our own people? And, like, to be honest, I don't care when I go to see a doctor what race he is, as long as he's very intelligent and I can have a good diagnosis. But as far as, like, when you see, like, Asian, a lot of East Indian, typically.
And shoot, in my experience, the best doctors was the ones that came from other countries that got taught somewhere else.
Yeah.
The best ones, all the best doctors that I had that actually I went to and they really made a difference in my care were not from here. They were from other countries. Like, I can remember an Indian doctor when I had food poisoning. He gave me this one pill. He said, "Here, take this. This will fix it." Boom. I was good in a few days.
But you didn't care what race he was.
I didn't matter what race is, but I'm just going on what I noticed. So that had a lot to do with our education system is crap in the first place. But what I'm saying is, when you look around in our communities, we don't have any men building anything anymore.
Yeah.
We don't have not one. Everybody's either going to a job, getting a paycheck, and coming home. They're not building anything for the most part. I mean, who's building our homes now? Latinos, the Mexicans. That's all you see. Who's doing the landscaping? Mexicans. So they took all of the stuff that the guys who couldn't get a lawyer or a doctor job, they got those jobs now. You see? So whose fault is that? Is ours. We did not stay on top of our economics in our homes. We went for the free handouts.
Yeah. Once they started giving out the government benefits, we thought that was an easy route.
We looked for the easy way out. Yeah. And then when you get in a home where education is not pushed and just, you just go to school, graduate, whatever, and get some free handouts, you're not really. Values was taken out of our home to teach us hard work. That was gone.
When do you think
how that happened was the man and the woman in the home infrastructure was torn apart. And yes, was that systematically done? Yes, it was. But it doesn't have to be like that. We could actually see that it's a problem and that we need to fix it. Nobody's going to come and fix it for us. We have to fix it. We have to take account. Stop being so upset when you look at these stats and, they want to blame it on this one. No, it is. You got to take the blame because it's a problem in your community, in our community. All of us have to take the blame.
Yeah. Now, what about another topic that's hot right now is RFK Jr. becoming over the, kind of looking over the FDA and all these, basically a lot of these additives and things that chemicals that have been put in our foods, child obesity, some of these chronic illnesses that have been really affecting the young people, and the fact that we're going to start looking at a lot of these manufacturers and the stuff they're selling here, which differentiates so much from what they're selling in Europe. The same McDonald's hamburger or French fries has 40, 50 more chemicals in Europe than it does here. And the processed foods and all these seed oils and all this stuff. How do you feel about that? Because to me, I don't see why people are so upset when, they said trust the science, and look at all the stuff that the last people who have been running our Food and Drug Administration, Fauci, whoever else, these guys have been
Can't
all
do
garbage,
nothing
bro.
but let the people poison us. That's it.
You know what I mean? But now you're saying that this person is not qualified. He's crazy. He's a conspiracy. You keep one
Well,
that.
Whenever you have someone that's a threat to a system, people are paid indirectly and directly to be oppositional to that. So when you hear people complaining, that's just a play. That's just what they're doing to just make noise, to distract. Because if he comes in and makes all these changes, these food manufacturers are not going to make that money that they've been making. They've been making money off feeding people stuff that's not really food. You look at I went to Portugal over the summer, right? And I look at the ingredients in bread over there. It's only a few things in it, right? Over here, it's a whole book. It's like a paragraph. So why does our bread have all of these things in it? For what? Because it saves money. When they can synthetically make your bread and make it look like bread, but it ain't bread.
Akeem, I think it's bigger than that, though. It's not really about saving money because they're making the money. It's about eventually you're going to have a chronic illness and you will go to the hospital and be on drugs.
That also feeds the medical industrial complex.
If you're not sick, if we're not sick, we're not overweight, Akeem, if everybody's healthy, go back to when, let me just put it like this, go back to when you were a kid and going to the beach. How many overweight people did you see at the beach?
Not many. Compared to now? Shoot.
That's case in
not
point.
even the beach. You just go out to look out your door,
But that's my case in point, is that you see some of these people and you see the amount of pills they're taking daily. Medications that are taxing the healthcare system, that is taxing, and we're, healthcare, if you want help, you're paying into, for somebody, you see what I'm saying? So
medication here is way overpriced. The same medication you pay $500 for, you can get twice the amount for $65 in another country. The very same medication.
Maybe cheaper than that. In India, some of the stuff is cents on the dollar.
Right.
And how does that work? If they're a third world country and we got all the, how are we paying?
Because we're the third world country. They're not third world countries. We're the third world country. We are. Dude, you look at when they shut down TikTok and everybody went over to that app Red Note, everybody that's why you think they turned TikTok back on, because people wait a minute, what the hell? Did these people actually living like this? And wait a minute, this guy, I saw a guy, he was showing his apartment, right? He was American, but he was living in China somewhere. I forgot which country. But his apartment was $900. He lived in a high rise. He had heated floors, 3 bedrooms, $900. This place looked like a state-of-the-art apartment where he come and put his thumb, open up his door. They get a maid to come clean up the apartment. That's part of the rent. You're like, wait, and the food quality is way better. They have McDonald's and all of that over there, but the food that they're serving them is actual food. It's not chemicals.
Yeah.
So when they started to sue, man, TikTok was up less than 24 hours. It was back on.
I know. I found that quite funny too. How they, everybody was talking about, hey man, I'm gonna get over on this other app, and they started seeing all the other stuff, and it was like, hold on, this is too big of a window right here for people to look into.
Man, I got my eyes open. I even thought about leaving over there. Man, they living good over there. But see, our news will make it think like we got the best thing going. We don't.
Well, how was it when you were in Portugal?
Shoot, the food was super cheap. I was, the big water bottles, like the big ones, they were like 40 cents. Yeah.
That's like $4 here.
Right. You get the little one, they want $2.50 in the little convenience stores. But the big ones, the big water I forgot how many liters that was, for less than 40 cents a bottle.
How was where you stayed at? What was that? What was the accommodations like?
We stayed in an Airbnb, so it was nice. It was nice. It was a 3-bedroom Airbnb. I had all the modern conveniences in it. The internet was good. And the vibe was good. The people were accommodating and friendly. See, what we have as far as racism over here, it's not like that. It's how we look at each other as colors. It's not like that over there. You see? And they actually embrace cultural differences, meaning they actually embrace the history of the culture. Like in Portugal, the Moors were rampant through there, right? They built a lot of stuff over there, and you can see the Moorish influence over there. And they talk about it openly. Yeah, the Moors, this and that, and proud about it. Here, they want to hide it. You see? So, sure, I can live there with no problem. None at all. Because the groceries, man, I went there. I didn't spend $50 and got food to cook and stuff like that. It was great. Then come here, $50 don't take you nowhere. You can't get nothing hardly for $50.
Well, it's always a good thing to travel. A lot of people get so stuck in a tunnel vision, and when you live in these especially little communities, and I remember talking to guys when I was locked up, and a lot of these guys have never left Baltimore, never left Bronx, or never been outside of the little neighborhood they were in Virginia. I'm like, dude, you never traveled?
They have no idea how big the world is. Their world is as big as where they've been. And that's just like in New York. I have relatives that never even left the Bronx. And they talk about going to Brooklyn. I ain't going to Brooklyn. What for? Yeah. It's like they whole world is that block. That's as far as they go, from the house to the corner store and back. That's it. Every now and then they'll venture out to, when they get their food stamps or whatever, and go to the grocery store, the big one, once a month. But that's a large majority of the hood hasn't seen past their block or even know what's going on past their block. And that's the reason for that, because they're not being educated that there is more to this world than this block. This is why the youths feel like they don't have nothing or they can't do anything, because where they are, there's nothing. And then no one is telling them, hey, there's something out there more for you. See, when they look at TV, they think that's for those people. Those people can only have that. No one is encouraging them and telling them, hey, you can have that too, what you see on TV. You can have that. You can have that life. But then that's one good thing about the internet. It did open up a lot of our people to other possibilities in traveling. Because when I look at some of the channels where some of the youngsters that from the hood left the hood and moved to Thailand.
You see the brother speaking Chinese?
I think I saw one video.
The brother, he's ordered in Chinese, and the girl's like, what? He started talking Chinese, and he's, right. And I'm like, man, see, the thing is, there's no limits now. We're not limited. Like when me and you there was no app on our phone for us to learn, what do you call it? What is the language over there? They call it Mandarin?
Mandarin, Cantonese.
But we didn't have an app on our phone that would say it for us, or we had to go take a Spanish class or French or German. Right. Now it's like, you guys, if you spend the time that you spend, maybe not with the video games or whatever your other stuff you're doing just on the internet, you can actually get a skill. And if you learn how to speak another language, you can be a translator in another country.
Right. Like the one brother that I was following, a young brother, and he was like, I'm not coming back. What's in America for me? And the people there were treating him good. He got a high-rise apartment, $700. He said, I'm not a millionaire. I'm not rich, but I'm rich. I'm free. I don't have to really kill myself to pay for a place to stay. And his apartment came with a maid, and And he
You
was
know,
showing
King,
how the food is.
one of the tricks is too, they get us caught up on being rich as being like one of these guys on these internet, like on these one of these platforms, and he's got the Lambo and he's got all that. Doesn't, I mean,
That's not rich.
rich could be rich in spirit, rich in
Right.
values. You can, like you said, if you're living in Thailand, you got I mean, dude, what do you
He got
you're
everything he
happy?
need. He ain't struggling.
Yeah.
His light bill was like $2. You know, his phone bill less than $10. You know, so he's like, look, this I don't have millions, but look, this is what my bill is. This is what it is.
Yeah.
And I don't have to I think they don't pay light bill for every 2 to 3 months. And it's less than $10.
Now you think about that, less than $10, and you get your electric bill at your house.
Couple of hundred, 300, you know.
I mean, like you said, third world shit.
And they got technology, you know, where their cars are talking to them and waking up and doing all kind of fancy stuff. They got $10,000 electric cars over there, fancier than the ones over here. You see, this country has done a great job of bamboozling its citizens into thinking that we have it all and we don't have it all.
Yeah.
See, freedom is subjective. Like, they got all these other things. Yeah, they probably got some rules over there that will make you uncomfortable, just like any place. But in China, they buy a house, pay for you only pay, once you pay it off, it's done. You pay taxes on it one time. You see?
You know, I was listening to a guy, he left the UK and he moved to Dubai. And he was saying in Dubai, he doesn't even lock his car up, bro. He said he's never seen a homeless person. He said the cops, the police, when they're picking up the money from the banks, bro, they don't even have a gun. They just have a baton. That's it. He said he's never. Now imagine that, and these cops with no gun. I mean,
Right.
He said the thought of somebody stealing your Rolex or your AP or even trying to rob you would be the punishment is so swift and severe.
Oh,
and
you
people
can't
don't even
even
entertain that.
you can't
Imagine
be in
that?
public yelling and acting a fool. You can't do none of that there.
No.
They don't play that.
No.
You can't be all boisterous in public.
I remember they
They
had
don't
the
play
social
that.
media girl. Remember the black girl over there was talking
Yeah,
crazy.
she went everything they locked up.
Yeah, man. I mean, so, people say, well, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, well, there's places that they have where it's a somewhat of a utopia, and there's a trade-off. Maybe it's more of a Islamic state, and there's certain things. But man, look, at the end of the day, when you talk about like your safety and your quality of life, if you don't like it here, I say, man, go somewhere else. There's a lot of other options. Nothing's keeping you here. But at the same time, if you are going to be here, why not try to make it the best it could be?
Mm-hmm.
I
Right.
mean, that's all I try to do. I'm not here to try to bash the black in this. All I'm saying is we're here together. Let's make it the best we can make it.
Right. Yep. You're right, man. We're here, and you got a president in there right now exposing a lot of things. I just say, let's see how this plays out. I mean, it's better than what we had the last 4 years. I can tell you that for sure. Because the other guy was sleeping. He did most of his presidency sleeping, giving speeches. Like, so what happened to Kamala Harris? She disappeared. She didn't win. No one's talking about it no more.
You said that. I haven't heard like a squeak out of that.
Because it was a setup. It was a setup. They tried to pull it off. It didn't work. Now they don't have no use for her. So she goes back to where she was. She was being used.
You think I mean, I know I hear like people in comments and stuff. I know mainstream media still tries to like downplay it, but I feel a lot of people have woke up, man. Even if if you don't really hear it, because it's like you think, man, they're not like talking about, you hear all the other stuff on mainstream, but a lot of people, man, they're not going for the okie doke anymore.
Here's the thing. The tactics that they used in this last election forced a lot of black folks to leave the Democratic Party. So it was up. The Democrats just would push people over to the Republicans. You see? So just using people like Cardi B to come in and try to speak. And then you had Barack talking down the brothers, saying, yo, like, man, I ain't listening to you. Okay, Bathhouse Barry. That's what Judge Joe Brown called Bathhouse Barry, that was his nickname, he said. I was like, dang, Judge, that's my Judge Joe Brown. They be trying to censor
He
him, but he
gangster,
be
bro.
coming
Judge
up.
Joe Brown, he's that dude has a lot of knowledge, man. I really like
Oh
him.
yeah, he do be breaking it down. I was like, dang, he, you know, if I, you know, when he was that judge on that show, I didn't know he had that much
Me either. Me
information.
either. Yeah, he worked on the Martin Luther King assassination. Remember the ballistics? He worked with Joe Biden back in the day in Missouri. I mean, he knew Ike and Tina. I mean, he was in a lot of mixes, man. He's a sharp dude, man.
Isn't that interesting when Biden, they heard Biden talk crazy about black folks and they still was all for him for president. See, this is what we talking about. Our community do stuff to really hurt themselves. They vote for their own problems. Like, and then here's the crazy part is you see what he did over the last 4 years and no one wants to talk about that. No one wants to bring that up. They just want to focus on Trump.
Isn't that crazy though? They're not. Why aren't they talking about that though? It's like silent.
They quiet. They like, dude, he screwed the country is screwed. I know. Because when I first started in that trucking business, right, at the end of Trump's presidency, trucking was good. You know, money was coming in. Now, when he came in, it went downhill. And we still struggling to crawl and get out of that hole now. The gas prices are still high, but the freight prices are still low. You know, it's just crazy. It's like, okay, what's going on? You know, when we gonna bring the, you know, make it more, you know, feasible for truckers to get on the road. A lot of truckers are not park their trucks because the freight is so low.
Yeah.
You know, loads I would take that I would was getting a couple of $1,000 for. They're trying to pay $1,000 for them now. The same load going from the same distance, but gas is still high. So, you know, you can get good prices. You just got to wait it out. You just got to listen. My company don't do cheap freight. I'm sorry. You get the guys, and those guys that take the cheap freight don't stay in business long anyway.
Yeah.
So,
well, Akiem, man, it's always a pleasure, bro. I love getting your insight, man. It's great to connect with you again in 2025. I know we'll be doing it more often now.
Yeah.
Brother, man, I wish you the best success this year.
Okay, same to you, man. Good talking with you again. Peace.
Appreciate you, man.
All right.
Eric 916.